Greetings all. So, my dear young friends and all the esteemed listeners of the day. So, sorry for the small interruption because of the network issues from my side. So, today, as we all know, it is the International Moon Day. So, I welcome you all, and I just wanted to focus. You can say when I just was preparing this short presentation, we always talk about something known as X factor in our lives. So even though there is nothing known as X factor with regards to the skies, but definitely for sure there is an M factor in the sky. And in fact, not a single M factor in the sky, there are a lot of M factors of the sky of our cosmos. And today we are going to focus on one of the M factors of the sky, the moon. And come on, just let us fall in love with the skies. So next slide, please. Shubhankar ji, next slide, please. Hello. Yeah, so my dear friends, today we shall just be taking a little bit of path. We shall be treading the path of introduction with regards to the moon. We will be talking about the citizen science and the field of astronomy. And yes, of course, we will be talking about the different projects and then challenges in the road ahead. Towards the bottom right, you just are going to see, you just might be seeing one of these images, very famous images, the footprints of the person who set foot on the moon, Neil Armstrong. And towards the left is the reminiscence of the fact to the place that where we belong to. So yes, of course, in fact, it is, you can say, a very long journey, but it is a journey of, you can say, quite fruitfulness, offering a lot in terms of the resources, offering a lot in terms of the delights, the celestial delights, offering a lot in terms of the researches. So this is going to be the trend line of the talk of the day. So next, please. So my dear young friends, so moon perhaps is one of those objects which can be visualized, and at the same time simultaneously it can really be realized as well. So if I just say I welcome you all to the July 20th program, it simply is just like any other passing date. No specific impact, no special impact. It feels normal, you can say. So 19th July was also there. Today is July 20th. Tomorrow it will be July 21st. So, so on. And if it is July this month, then it would be followed by August. It was preceded by June. But the moment I say, because I just wanted to bring a little bit of enthusiasm amongst my friends, I welcome you all in time talking in terms of the Indian culture. Ashad Shukla Paksh Chaturdashi, because today is the day, this is the Indian date of today's program. So the moment I say, and if you are doing the bisection, or if you are dissecting this entire phrase that I have just put up here, it does provide a little bit of celestial connect. Celestial connect with what? Celestial connect with definitely the nearest neighbor of ours, the moon, and of course to a certain extent with the sun also. Because if you see, when I am talking about, let us start from the right. If I am talking about Chaturdashi, it is the 14th day, or in fact, on the lunar cycle, today we are on the 14th day. Paksh talks about the fortnight on the basis of the phases of the moon. Shukl is that is the whether we are in the waxing or the waning phase of the moon, and Ashad definitely is the month, and the name of the month basically derives on the day of the full moon, or the nakshatra that is being occulted, or the lunar mansion. The entire sky is being divided up into 27, or to a certain extent 28 to be more exact, lunar mansions where the moon resides. And on the day of the Purnamasi or the full moon, the moon occults whatever nakshatra. So on that particular nakshatra, the name of the month is named after. So say this entire, whatever the day, the moment that we are talking, it is somewhere down the line related to the moon. So definitely in terms of, you can say, Indian culture, in terms of Indian practices, yes, definitely it is a scientific culture where we have got an astronomical connect. Now, what is this something special with regards to the moon? If you come down a little bit, then you may be seeing perhaps moon is the only object. I am calling it only object. If you look at the you can say in detail, which can be visualized in terms of its completeness or in terms of the partiality, called the phases of the moon, by the different forms. That is, you may be able to see the stars, you may be able to see even the sun also, you may be able to see the visualize the galaxies also, but you may not be able to see the distinctive features that make you fall in love with that particular thing. For that distinctive, to observe those distinctive features, you may say require say very powerful extended eyes, that I always say in common terms, or the powerful devices, that is the cameras, the DSLR cameras, the binoculars, the different types of telescopes, even you can say even the higher grade like the robotic telescopes, like that we may require like that. But moon perhaps is that particular object which, for which the distinctive features, they really are available ready-made to our naked eyes and also to our extended eyes, and which can be visualized even though it can be seen with a telescope, or that Venus, the one of the planets of our solar system, has got the phases. But definitely, are we able to see the phases of the Venus just like the phases of the moon? No, we are not. So this is what that makes moon a little bit of, you can say, catchy, not only in the terms of culture, but in terms of the visualization also. So I hope that now you all are getting the point, how the moon perhaps is that choicest object which has captured the imagination of the human beings, the human race, ever since time immemorial, that how it can be visualized and how it can be realized in our daily lives. And perhaps when we are talking about the occultations, yeah, that is the covering of one celestial object with another solar celestial object. Moon does play a very active role in the occultations, with living in our nearest neighborhood. Moon is the nearest celestial neighbor of the human beings, and in fact the total solar eclipse that we always see, it is an occultation of the sun, because the moon, I am talking total solar eclipse, because the moon covers the solar disk in entirety. Apparently, I am talking apparently in the entirety. So in fact, it is a specific or a special form of the occultation, while the annular solar eclipse is a transit that is only for the addition of the information. So this is what that has made the moon the part of the folklores. And as Shomadeep sir was mentioning, it simply is not a part of simply the Indian culture. It has been a part of the cultures cutting across the continents, cutting across the oceans, from northern part to the southern part, from the eastern part to the western hemispherical part, in whichever form you want to decide. Whether you are on the equator, whether you are at the pole, whether you are at the tropic, or whether you are at an intermediary place, moon is a part not only of the culture but also human captivation, human imagination, and human insightness. So in fact, this is perhaps what made the humans inquisitive about the moon, and curiosity definitely built the cat. And so moon became one of the prime destinations for which the pinnacle of the success came in the year 1969, with the moon being touched down by a humane touch, for the very first time, when Apollo landed, and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the people who were who brought us back the souvenirs of the time immemorial, the moon, the nearest celestial neighbor. So next, please. So let us now dive a little bit deep into interesting facts of the moon. This specifically is for our young, you can say, generation, so that you, as I mentioned, you fall in love with the subject. Now, to fall in love with the subject, one of the ways is to just keep on observing. Now, there are two very sugar-coated sentences that have been mentioned in our books, and I always mention the two sugar-coated sentences are: sun rises in the east and moon is available there up into the night sky. So as today the sun is not the you can say the portion of the discussion today, I shall be leaving out the first sugary coated sentence, and the second sugar coated sentence, the moon is available there in the night. moon mama, Chanda mama, that is being as part of Indian culture. It's available into the night. Definitely, it is available into the night, but to be more precise, it is available 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days, depending upon the phase in which you are looking at, which has beautifully been told already by our Shaumidev Mukherjee sir, that it depends whether you are watching at the waxing crescent, which is about 0 to 7.5 days old, or whether you are exactly at a 7.5 days at the first quarter, whether you are looking at the waxing gibbous moon, which is somewhere between 7.5 and 14.5 days old moon. Today, we definitely are almost, you can say, 14 and more than 14.5 days old moon is there. We are on the 14th day, and tomorrow is going to the full moon, which is 14.8 days old moon. And then we may be watching waning gibbous, which is somewhere between 14.8 and 22, or about 22 days old. Then comes the last quarter, exactly about 22.2 days. And then, of course, comes the waning crescent, that is 22.22, that is the final touchdown, little about 29.5 days. And then the new moon, about 29 point, exactly 29.52 or 53 days. Or in fact, a few people treat it as 0 days, that is the starting point. So it depends that which phase of the moon you actually are looking at. That basically defines which portion of the day the moon is available. And yes, of course, there is a regular cycle, and I'm just leaving it up for the young generation to just go and take the help of, you can say, your teachers. And if of course nobody is available there for the discussion, then Professor Google is the best professor in the modern times, though the servers do get clogged sometimes, as it happened for yesterday. I'm checking it on a lighter vein, on a lighter note. Don't take it too much seriously. Take the different sources, and on the basis of the sources, what you just do is you just confirm how much is the percentage of the moon you are looking at, which phase of the moon is there, when at the date time it's available. Moon is available in the afternoon also, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the midnight, sometimes in the evening. So it definitely pumps you, that according, it gives you, you can say, a leverage also. Sun is available from sunrise to sunset always, but if you want to see the sun at the night time, there is no option at all. For that, you definitely have to fly up into the space, and then only you can see multiple sunrises and sunsets in less than 24 hours, as it happens on ISS. So but moon gives us that basic opportunity, that basic, you can say, advantage lies with the moon, when to look at. So you definitely can plan accordingly, and then it will help you in fall in love with the cosmos. It, as I always mention, that books are our best friends, but definitely sky is also one of the best friends of the human being. The only thing is you have to look into the sky properly. So moon definitely is the second densest satellite in the society after, not in the society, in the society of the solar system, after the Jovian satellite, that is the Jupiter satellite Io, and which is, you can say, about, I think, 5.5%. You just have to do a fact check. I am just speaking from my memory. Moon, that is Io, is more denser than the moon by about 5.5%. And in terms of the size, the sheer size, moon ranks fifth after Ganymede, Titan, then Callisto and Io. So slowly the moon is drifting away from the earth. And if you just look, you browse for the phenomena of the total solar eclipses, you will see that there are a few experts, the astronomical experts, the astrophysicists, who may be discussing that one time shall come that moon shall drift a little bit apart further, that there will not be any complete or total solar eclipse. We may be seeing annular solar eclipses in the days to come. So they definitely are happening up. Then, is there any water on the moon? Yeah, definitely there could be water on the moon. I am just putting it exclamatory mark, because our Chandrayaan 3 is already functional. And you know, it always has been said that the rotation and the revolution of the moon, they are better maintained, and they are in sync with each other. You know what happens is, but in reality, we observe more than half of the moon, about 59%, or to, in a round figure, about 60% of the face, I'm talking FACE, face of the moon is visible across all its phases, PHASES, across all the different phases of the moon. About 60% of the face of the moon is visible. Then basically it talks about, because the exact rotation and the revolution, they are not at sync sometimes. So you can see the moon drifting from the east to from the east towards the from the west towards the east. And so we are able to see more than 60%. And definitely about 41% of the face of the moon is never visible to us, that is the far side of the moon. And you just imagine, if we are looking, if we do the vice versa, somewhere down the line, if you are living on that particular 40% of the moon, if your residence is there, you will never be able to see the earth. You from the moon, you will be able to see the earth if you are residing in that particular 59% of the region. So you can say it is a mutual hide and seek that is happening between the sun, between the moon and the earth. And then yes, of course, there are, you can say, a little bit facts which really can be checked, which really can be verified by sheer observation, by the cameras, by the even by the eyes, that when we assume that the moon is progressing through the different phases of the moon, half moon, that is the first quarter, the last quarter of the moon, since it is half the size of the full moon, it is being assumed that it is almost of the same, you can say, half of the brightness of the moon. But actually it is not. Near the terminator line, there is a rough topography. The moon is not a smooth object. So dark regions, they do span on the face of the lunar face of the moon, or the lunar face. So the first quarter of the moon approximately is about, you may be, you can say, excited to know, that overwhelmed as well, that it is about 1/11 as bright as the full moon, not about 50%. It is 1/11 of the brightness of the moon. And now, if you are expecting the same to happen for the last quarter, then again there is a twist. Yeah, last quarter of the moon also is not as 50% bright as the full moon. It is dimmer than 50%, but it is a little bit more brighter than the first quarter, because in the last quarter, the regions are as such that the sunlight is reflected better. Now, how to observe this fact? You just go for the observation. You just try to photograph the moon. You just try to process the photographs of the moon as explained by Shaumadev ji. And then, even if you don't have those facilities, you can keep on observing the moon. And the more you fall in love with the moon, the different phases of the moon, the more you tend to realize these facts. And then, of course, the moon, this I just would like to put it in front of you, because see, on the earth, the time zones are being divided by the longitude. So I'm putting it in front of you, an open-ended discussion, a question: can the moon has its own time zone? If you say, because the size of the moon is different, the seleno latitude, that is the latitude and the longitude on the moon, the seleno latitude and the seleno longitude, more specific seleno longitudes, they may not be as in sync with that of the earth. So can a time zone be devised or defined for the moon? And then yes, of course, if you want to learn about the month, even the months are not unique. See, nothing is absolute in space. We have to take the different reference points. So depending upon the different reference points, there are different varieties of the month. If you are taking the reference point as the sun, or taking the reference from one phase of the moon to another phase of the moon across its one rotation, that is, you can say, synodic in nature, that is a synodic month. Then if you are taking the reference from perigee, that is the nearest point to another nearest point, one complete revolution around the earth, so that is anomalistic. So then the third thing is, if it is sidereal, that is, if you are taking that a reference of a star, and then you take the time taken to return to the same position amongst the star after one complete revolution, that type of a month is the sidereal month. And then yes, of course, if you are taking the node, because the orbit of the moon also is tilted at about 5 degrees in comparison to the with regards to the earth sun plane. So the time taken to the wherever that is the moon crosses the plane of the earth, that is known as a node. So the time taken to pass from one node and then again complete one revolution and come back to the node to node, that is the nautical month. So, and all these months, they are different in the terms of length, with synodic being the maximum about 29 days and 12 hours, and I think 44 minutes. And so this is the beauty when and when we go dive deep into the subtle concepts, again, when this astronomy becomes a part of your life. It starts flowing into your thoughts as the blood flows in our body. You yourself don't know. So next slide, please. So now coming to the citizen science and astronomy, what happens is, see, these is all the customary things that citizen science projects are there, which allow you to engage and all those things. We all know it. But I just wanted to bring to your kind notice one important thing, that what actually is the use, what actually is the need of the citizen science. The professional scientists, they are, you can say, very less in number, but the quantum of the data that is flowing is very huge in the age of the rocket science and in this entirety of the computer science age. When everything is there online, the data, when the instruments are becoming more and more sophisticated, the flow of the data, it is terabytes and gigabytes of data per day. So it becomes, you can say, unmanageable for the professionals. So what happens is, as I always say, even though the scientists may be the citizens of different nations, but within each citizen also resides a scientist. So if you have got any scientific temper, which we all have got somewhere down the line in the subconscious, just make it arise awake. Just give a tap and make it make it rise from the bed, and you can just play with the data that is being the professional data that is being provided from the different sources, and you can also become one of those choicest people who can contribute to the professional work, in terms of the discoveries, in terms of the different detections, in terms of the realization of the different phenomena, in terms of the proving the different hypotheses, establishing the different facts. You can come at par, you can play your role at that particular level. So this is the importance of the citizen science. And when the citizen science is there in astronomy, can moon be left behind? No, definitely not. So there are a lot of projects. For instance, I mentioned a couple of projects out here. One is the Moon Mappers project, in which you are being invited to identify and classify the craters of the lunar images taken by LRO, that is NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. And definitely these days there is one more project that is known as Moon Diff project, where you will be provided the images, the scientific grade data images by NASA, and you just have to look into it, and you have to identify the difference all across the time, because the same portion of the moon, they are being mapped across the different time periods, and you have to tell the difference what all has transpired with the advent of the time. Next slide, please. So this definitely is whatever that I have told. So you can play a very huge role, and this bridges the gap between the citizen scientists and the public. So next, please. Shubhankarji, next. Yeah. So, this is something important which I just wanted to bring to your kind notice. So if you all can see, hello. I'm sorry that my voice was obstructed. So, when we talk about moon now, so there are two prominent features or two prominent things that come to our mind. One is the craters on the moon, and then second is the Maria or the sea on the moon. But there are different features which you can really visualize even with your naked eyes, and they can even be better visualized when you are doing your photography. So these are a few of the prominent features. You definitely can look for the craters, which are circular depressions in nature. You can see them with the naked eyes. You can better see them. The brightness and intensity and everything can be seen more better if you are visualizing them with the help of telescopes or even with your DSLR cameras. So they definitely are formed majorly from the impacts. They are impact craters, they are sloped walls and all the things. Then towards the second, if you see first row, the second one, we all know it. These are Mare or the Maria in plural, and it is a Latin word which specifically stands for sea. So these are the solidified ancient lava basins, and they give you an impression as if you can say some large body is there, or like that of a water body. So these are the different terrain features. Oceans on the, specifically there are one large. If you look at the moon in the western portion, you look at very huge ocean. So that is an ocean of storms. So you just can look into the Maria. Then there is one more feature. If you look at the third one, as we have got Mount Everest as we have got different, you can say, mountains across the different countries. So similarly, moon has also got mountains. The individual mountain is known as mons. And if you are looking at the chain of the mountains, that is, we have got Himalayas or Kailash range or Aravali range or Satpura range, Appalachian mountains. So in the similarly, in over the moon, they are known as montes. So large chain of mountains which are formed from gigantic impacts billions of years ago. So you can just looking peeping into the moon, you can just realize how beautifully the features have been found out. And then yes, of course, if there are hills, there are valleys. So let us come to the second row. Valleys also are there. Again, they are also formed from lava flows, collapsed lava tubes. They appear in, you can say, spiraling in a snaky format. Then the second one in the second row, it is a dorsa. Actually, these are the ridges, and they are hard to see. You can say wrinkles. Or if you are looking at the lunar Maria, within the Maria, you may be seeing the wrinkles. So as we say, moon budha ho gaya hai. So the wrinkles on the face of the moon. So definitely they are the dorsum. Plural is the dorsa. Then there is fissures also. That is the different. You can say the rima, and in if you are from the near the Germanic region, so they call it Rileys. So you know what happens is these are the fissures or the cracks on the lunar surface which can be beautifully realized. Then there is rupees, which are, you can say, scrapments from the lunar surface, as if somebody has taken a spoon and it has taken it. Now you just realize you are taking a spoon from your ice cream, and then there is something is remaining over that particular surface from which the spoon it has been scrapped. So it is that one. So then we have discussed mountains, we have discussed valleys, we have discussed sea. So definitely lakes are also there. In the third portion, I have shown you the lakes. And then there is gulfs also are there. So you can see the sinus. It is a bay. You can see the ragged coastline is there in a highland which meets a low elevation region of a Maria. So that particular mid portion is that sinus or bay. And then yes, of course, pools are also there, palace. So these are the different features, 15, 16 features that I just wanted to bring to your kind notice. You wherever you go to the moon, tomorrow is the full moon, today is the, you can say, 14.8 days old moon. So you definitely will be able to see, enjoy all these features. You just go out, try to visualize these features and fall in love with the nearest celestial neighbor. Next slide, please. So you know these are the different portions. You can take a screenshot of all these things. You really can realize this is a scientific mapping. If you are looking it through the help of a proper telescope, you can see all the different features. What we have done is we have you can say partitioned moon into four separate regions. And next please. So this is one portion. Next slide please, Shubhankar ji. This is another, you can see the different features that I just told you. It is another, you can say, quarter of the moon. Next please. Let me just show you the third quarter. This third quarter does not mean with the phase of the moon. I am talking the portion of the moon which you are seeing. And then another. Next please. So these are the, you can say, the different portions, the different markings. So what I suggest you is whenever you go out, try to look, try to visualize the maximum of the features, how many you can do with the naked eye. Then you go step further. Go with the help of a binocular. How many are you able to visualize or realize with the help of a binocular? You take a simple disc, make a circle, and over that circle, make partition it into four quarters, and then you try to plot as many features as you can, whether it is Maria, whether it is a Mons or anything, whatever it is. So these definitely will help you out to understand the topology of the moon and understand how the different features of the moon they are there. Then next, please. So you know today this I thought that let me just put this entire photograph of the moon taken from a book. So just copy pasted it here, because today's, as I am mentioning again and again, that is Chaturdashi, 14.8 days old moon. So this is how that you are going to see the moon, the Maria, and all those features. So just go out and enjoy these different features of the moon. Next slide, please. So yes, of course, now I just would like to take you to this particular project. This is another specific projects that we are dealing with the young students, and where we are providing the cultural astronomy, as well as we are trying to blend the naked eye astronomy with the integration of technology. It is a STEAM project. And in the next, what we do is, we just, in this Moon Over Us project, we try to amalgamate the students from different cultures across all the hemispheres. Four hemispheres. If you are partitioning it with the equator, then there are north and south. And if you are partitioning it with the prime meridian, then there are east and west. So whichever hemisphere you belong to, whichever quarter of the earth you belong to, all the students are welcome. And then we have got a very well defined structured way in which we take them to the journey, or again, as I say, realization and the visualization of the moon. Next slide explains that. So next slide please, sir. So what we do is, after taking a survey, initial survey of the information with regards to moon, the students, they draw the images, they take the digital pictures on the format as I just told them, that I just defined you earlier. And then what we do is, with the students, they post from the different regions on a very, you can say, common platform that is known as the Padlet platform, where you can share different sorts of media. And then, after sharing that particular information with regards to which phase of the moon has been photographed and all those things, the students, they research, they compare. Students sitting in India will compare it with Uganda, who is on who is on equator. And they both will compare there with someone sitting in Brazil or someone sitting in Australia, and who is in the southern part of the hemisphere. Same date, same time, we try to make you can say comparison. And then, of course, across east and west also, we try to make them go through it, the different latitudes and different longitudes, and if any, you can say, comparative result, they are able to find it out. And then, yes, of course, that how to propel somebody into that particular research, to make somebody propel into that particular field. Now, what really has to be done is, you need to understand that if there is something, or if there is if a student is able to realize for the fact that a particular thing belongs to me, I am a part of it, as culturally or whether scientifically, so that particular thing clicks into the mind of somebody, and then it makes an attachment which is long lasting, or in fact everlasting. So we do promote the cultural beliefs. And when not promote cultural beliefs, we do try to bring out the cultural beliefs with regards to the moon, in terms of poetry, in terms of history. And then we make the students try to do the research, how their particular culture has propagated the different beliefs with regards to moon and other objects, celestial objects. And then we try to make them compare on the basis of the scientific merit of the day, and how the literature has taken shape with regards to moon and other objects. So it is, you can say, really a fun activity. And the thing, they do not end here. What happens is, we do reward them with certificates and all the things, and we take it a step further. And a step further, what really happens is, the students, they take the images of the moon and the other celestial neighbors with the help of robotic telescopes. So next slide please. So these are the different lunar phases. They have been photographed and we already have talked about. So this is what basically attracts the students and what captures the imagination. So if you are a science communicator, if you are a teacher, and if you are a student, you are really welcome to join us. Next slide, please. So now we are just almost moving towards the end. So what happens is, these are a few of the work that I just wanted to showcase you. This was one of the participants from Dubai. This, in fact, is an image that has been taken from a mobile by a young student of about, I think, 11 or 12 years of age. And you see how beautifully the photograph has been taken. The challenge while photographing the phases of the moon is, you need to understand the different concepts, as Shomadeep sir was talking about, the ISO, the shutter speed, the focal length, and everything. You just try to go out. If you have got clear skies today, now you just try to look, take your camera out and try to photograph the moon. Then what you do is, after a few days, when the moon is in a gibbous phase, you try to photograph again. Then after that, when half moon or the first quarter arrives or third quarter arrives, then you just go out and try to photograph again. Then a crescent moon comes, you try to photograph that again. In the normal automatic mode, whether it is crescent moon, whether it is full moon, the irony is, 90% chances are high that you will be getting almost a clear, you can say, full moon type of a phase or a gibbous type of a phase, which is misleading. So this is a perfect blend of an art, craft, and science. So that is why it is a STEAM project. So if you learn, if you understand the nuances, ISO, shutter speed, and all those things, and then you learn to play with all those concepts, and you go on the manual mode, these sort of beautiful photographs come. So next slide, please. So these are the different collages of the different phases of the moon. So this is the challenge that I was throwing at you. Try to photograph the phases of the moon in the automatic phase, in the auto mode of your mobile, and then also simultaneously try to photograph the moon by playing with the ISO, by playing with the shutter speed, and then you can just find out the difference, how the things roll out differently. Again, it will make you fall in love with the technology also this time, that how the maneuvering of the proper maneuvering of the technology can make you understand the subtle features. The moon is in our mobile captured well and good, and these photographs have been taken by students of class 7th and 8th. Next slide, please. So this is a collage of the collages, the creative creation of the different students, you can see. And those students who did not have the bounties of, you can say, taking up the photographs, they just sketched it. So this is only for, you can say, propelling you more and more into towards the observational part of the astronomy with regards to moon. Next slide, please. So we do try to do this. You can see these are the, you can say, some serious activities that try to map the craters of the moon, try to measure it scientifically. So these are the leaflets that are available on the schools observatory, previously known as National Schools Observatory, NSO, of Liverpool telescope. This is a project, 1 meter Liverpool 1 meter robotic telescope of Liverpool, and you just go to it. There is something known as mosaic, on moon mosaic, that is available. Try to assemble it, try to do a proper scaling, and try to find out the crater, the dimensions of the crater of a moon on a A4 size sheet or A3 sheet, and then try to scale it out to the kilometers of the size, and then you will turn to know different very beautiful facts. Then you can do comparison also. I am just giving an example. Try to find out the diameter of the Tycho crater, and then try to find out, if you just imagine Tokyo, the city, how big or how wide the city of the Tokyo is, and you try to make the comparison between the size of the Tycho crater and the Tokyo city, you will come to a very beautiful conclusion. I am not giving you at the moment. You just try to find, just Google it, diameter. Even though saying the diameter for a city is not okay, but just type diameter of Tokyo and diameter of Tycho. You will find out a very beautiful result. Then towards the right, you see the students are experimenting, even though the situation is not, you can say, so optimal. There is no vacuum or the atmosphere is there, but definitely students can learn how to create impact craters on the different, that is leaning impact, the straight throw, and all those things. So definitely it's a fun activity. We all can go through it with learning while enjoying. Next, please. So this is the robotic thing that I was talking about. Next, please. So this is while we engage specifically the student into the field of scientific inquiry and data analysis, and we foster global connections in astronomy and astrophysics. So next slide, please. So, and definitely it has got, you can say, no dimensions left at all. Even though you may be, you can say, hearing impaired, you may be speech impaired, but this astronomy perhaps is one of those choicest branches in which it has got, you can say, the dimensions are unlimited, and we were able to create out the for the first time in the entire history of India, we were able to create the sign language for the different phases of the moon while experimenting with the students of Indian School of Deaf, that is Bharati Badri Vidyalaya of Lucknow, and we have properly documented it also, and then we have sent it for further research to the concerned people. So there are no, what I wanted to tell you is, moon perhaps is one of those choicest objects which is beyond the imagination. The dimensions, we are limitless. So it goes very much beyond the limit in terms of the popularization as well as in terms of the research facility. So people generally consider that popularization and the research, they do not go hand in hand, but definitely moon, perhaps this is one of those choicest objects off to the sky where the popularization and the research, they do can go hand in hand. The research can be at the astronomical level, it can be at the cognitive level, whatever it may be. It can be at the higher order thinking skills, it can be at the self-regulated learning, but definitely moon is one of those objects. Next, please. So, next, please, next slide, please. So we are very much proud to announce that today even we have become a part of point 4 meter robotic telescope, and two of our collaborators, they definitely are here in the meeting today. Dr. Margarita Shafonova from Indian Institute of Astrophysics. She is also a co-principal investigator of this project, as well as Shri Shobhar Acharya sir. So from SS Citizen Science Group. So, and we have become the you can say one of those first of those Indian stream projects from August 2024 till the next year, that we have this particular facility of 0.4 meter robotic telescopes, where students, they can not really enjoy, but they can also go into the deep studies of the moon with regards to the regular patterns. Next, please. So these are, you can say, a few of those arbitrary images that we took with regards to the different phases of the moon from the LCO kiosk. Now, definitely the things have improved. We are now more, you can say, organized in terms of the apart, but you can see how the moon behaves 15-day apart moon. Next, please. So this is 4 consecutive days the observation of the moon from the 0.4 meter robotic telescope. Next slide, please. So this is almost a month apart from December till January. So you can see how the realization, how the things are looking different, and you can just identify the different features. Next, please. So you know what you really can do is, if partitioning the moon into 4 quarters is difficult, or you can say it becomes too much cumbersome, you can go for a little bit of partition like this. Look up into the different features of the moon, and then try to identify these features of the moon onto the photograph that may be taken by you from your telescope, from your camera, even with the naked eye observations. So this can really enhance your knowledge with regards to the topology and the surface of the moon. Next, please. So eclipses and all these games, they really have been talked about, but they do add spice to the attraction of the moon. Whether the moon is occulting the sun, or whether the earth is being occulted, whether the moon is being occulted by the earth in terms of the different eclipses. Next, and the final slide, please. So these are the different eclipses. So next, please, sir. So I really acknowledge and I thank all the people who really are behind these all these different projects, and I really do thank the organizers of this meeting. Next, please. So, I just wanted to end up this talk by wishing you all a very happy International Moon Day, and trying to show you the different features, the different places of the landing, where the Chinese have landed, where the Americans have landed, where these Russians have landed, USSR have landed, and definitely India too is making the point from Chandrayaan 3. So, with these words, hoping for the best, wishing you all a very happy International Moon Day. Thank you. Thanks a lot.